this video we will start working on the genre list in here. So first we need to have a model for the genre. So from this documentation I can see that the genre only has the ID and name. So let's start by first making this model. We can create a new Swift file, name it as maybe genre, and for this will be a struct, so let's have it, and it needs to conform to identifiable, and then we will have id with type int, and then we will have, I guess, name, or let's just confirm, yeah, it's the name. And then we also need to conform to codable. I think for that we might have to import, okay, not import, we already have foundation, so we just need to conform to codable. Yeah, so now we can just go into our home view model and we can create a new method in here. But first let's just have a new list and name it as genre. Maybe it will be the list of genre, and in here we can have function fetch genre. Let's name it as async, and then we can have the catch block in here. And for the error, it's the same. You can actually use this error into your home view at some place so that you can see if you are receiving some error from the API or not. And then okay, so I guess we also need to have this struct for the genre response, and it needs to conform to codable. You can quickly grab it and go into our quick.io and parse it. So yeah, this is our response. So we just have a list of genres in the response, and yep, that's it. So we can go to our home view model and have maybe like, or let's just name it as response. It will be genre response, and then we can do try await movie service. Then we can just fetch it with the endpoint. Let's have the genre. So and then we can have our genre list equals to response dot genres, and yeah, that's it, I guess. So now we can go to our home view and we can simply load our genres, and then we also need to display them somewhere. So first let's have our new view, it should be a SwiftUI view. Let's name it as maybe genre core, and we will actually need few things. First, of course, is the genre itself, and so for this view I think we can have it from web provider. So let's create a new genre in here. Let's have genre equals to genre, and we can use this default one in here. It says 28 action, so let's have 28 action. So now in here we can provide this genre from dev.genre, and then we also need to have the selected genre. Of course it will be this genre, and then I think this might be the binding. Yeah, it has to be the binding, and then yeah, I guess that's it. And then we may also need the namespace as well. So let's have namespace for the match geometry effect, and for the text in here we can have like genre dot name, and then we can use the font, and let's just see if our genre is equals to selected genre. We can have maybe a bold version of font, otherwise we can use medium, and again same for the, or let's just use the same I guess maybe 18, and we will see if the size is not looking good, then we may have something in a different way. Okay, let's just have maybe genre.id equals to selected genre.id if it's not equatable in that way. And let's just have our missing arguments here, namespace. I think we can create namespace, yeah. And then for the selected genre, let's have a constant value for now, and then we can use dev.genre. So that's it, and then we need to have a background. So let's have maybe, yeah, we can have a background maybe, and for this background let's have a z stack in here, and then we can check if selected genre.id is equals to genre.id, only then we want this background. And what we want in the background is a rounded rectangle, maybe corner radius of 10, and then we need to fill it with color dot, let's start with the gray 1 color, and then we can set the height, so we can have a frame here. We only want maybe 3 as height because it's just a small bar. And then for the we need to set the offset as well. Let's start have by 20 because it's a bit down from the middle. And then we need to have the geometry effect. For the ID, let's use this name here. For the namespace, let's use this. So yeah, I think that's all. We can have some padding. Let's just see if it looks good. So on the home view, we can now have a list. Before we can have another scroll view, let's just copy this one, and we can then have it, let's just name it as genre, and this will now give us genre. And then instead of movie card, we can have the genre card. For the genre, it's this. And from the home view model, we need to have a selected genre. Let's start by, okay, so what should be the default value for it? We can just try this developer preview for now, and then later we will switch it to a better version. So for the namespace, we need the namespace here, so let's have namespace. And for the binding, we can use view model dot selected genre for now. And then okay, we need to post $sign. So that's it. Let's see how it looks on the screen. Okay, looks like we have some error. Error, as it says that we need to, do we need to really provide this? Oh, I guess we need to use it from the, yeah, not the way we use it. It should be like this, and then we just need to pause. Yeah, now it's, I guess, better. Sorry for I just didn't realize we had to use it this way. Okay, so now I guess this looks very nice. So we are loading up our genres. Very nice, it looks great. And yeah, that's great. So on the tab, let's have a tab, because here we can have vm.selected genre equals to, oh sorry, we are using the tab on the wrong card. It should be on the genre card. So let's change the selected genre when use the tabs on different genre. So yeah, this is nice. Okay, one thing I noticed, we should have an animation here because it looks like not. So let's have an maybe is in out. Now let's try it. It should smoothly move between this. Yeah, now it looks nice. So this is good. Let's just make sure it's same as the design. Yeah, I think this looks almost same as the design. So I guess that's it. So one thing I guess we can do is, after having this, we can just check if genre dot is not empty, then maybe we can have this selected genre the first element, or maybe we can do this like if let's just say if let genre equals to, and we can set our selected genre as the first element of the list. So now I guess we should fetch movies based on the selected genre, and for that we have to go back into our endpoint class because we have not added the endpoint for this. This endpoint, let's name it as maybe discover movies, and then for the path we will have yeah, let's return it, and it is /3/discover movie. So that's our path for it. And now we can go to our home view model, and we can have, yeah, we can just have like function fetch maybe movies for selected genre, and now we can maybe this should be I guess async, and then it will be the same catch block here for the error message. Let's have it this way, and then for the movies, let's construct the API first of all. So we need to have the API constructor discover movies, and then we need to pass the params in here as well. And for the params, let's pass the with genre argument. So then we need to actually pass in the selected genre ID. So we already have selected genre, let's pass in the ID. So that's how we will construct this API for this one. And then I guess we need to, yeah, we need to fetch the movie, so we can have the response in here, and let's name it as maybe, yeah, movie response, then try await. Then we can use the movie service, and then we can just fetch data for the API. And we should have a different, let's just name it as movies for selected genre, yeah, different list. And then we can have response dot reserve. So that's how I guess this should work. So now since once we have fetched the genres, we are selecting the genre, and then let's just see if we can just fetch this, we can call this method in here, and let's make it await here. Let's just see if this works this way. So first we will fetch the movies from here, and then after every, once the user taps on a genre, then we can actually execute maybe a task in here. Then we can maybe call this await vm dot fetch movies for selected genre. And these movies down here, now let's just use these movies for selected genre instead of the top rated and other that we were using before. So let's see if this works. Let's start clicking on something. Yeah, so we have an adventure movies, looks nice. And let's click on animation. So I guess movies are changing. Let's have comedy. Great. So we are fetching different movies after clicking on a genre. So let's have maybe the history. So now we have a different set of movies. So the only thing I notice is actually it's not loading the, so I guess instead of doing it this way, it's not loading it for the first time. So I guess maybe we can do it, because after calling this fetch genre, we can go into our home view model, into our home view. Once we have the genre, we can then just go and fetch selected movies for the genre. So because the genre would already be set at that point, so we should have our movies, but for some reason they are not loading up for the first time. So let's go into our home view model and see what mistake we are doing. Or maybe we can actually display this error message. If let's just see if we are actually receiving some error. We had this error message for the debugging, so we can have vm dot error message just to see if there, yeah, so definitely okay. So yeah, that's what I was mentioning in the earlier video when we were creating this movie object. So I actually told you guys that we may not have some of these values, so we may have to mark them as an optional later on in the videos when we receive the error for them. So we are receiving the error now, so let's just see. So it says that no value associated with the key release date. So we have, so it's saying actually we may have a null value for the receive date. So let's just mark as that null, and I guess that's all. That's the only issue it has with the receive value so far. So let's just see if it works now. Okay, now we have an issue with the backdrop path. So let's just spin it here. We need to go back to movie. We may have null for this value as well. So let's mark it as null. And then let's see what else. Nice. So I guess these were the only two values for which we had to handle the null case, but we may have or maybe in future, if you are watching this video, you may have a null value for some other, or for some other value. So you have to just make sure that you are passing in a null for it. If there is an error like this, you can just read it. It's pretty simple. So I guess we have our home page fully designed. So I guess that was all for the home page. In the next video, we will start working on the detail page. And yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you.